Jared Poland, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is a little bit of a pre-video before Adam and I get to the editing. I just wanted to say you guys did a fantastic job editing the raw file, trying this new thing where I basically put up the photo first and then let you guys edit the raw, as well as make some videos. I have to say the videos are great. I've posted some of the videos at the link below or back over at FroKnowsPhoto.com. You'll see a bunch of the videos that people created so you can take a look, see what they did, and then maybe next week we will continue with this where we put up the raw file for you to edit first, and you're free to go ahead and make some, what do we call them, screen flows of how you edit. And also, we will then go ahead and post on Friday, Adam and I, the edit that we did. So we're coming after the fact. We're doing our raw edit and all of that good stuff. So great job, guys. Coming up right now, the raw edit that Adam and I did. Jared Poland, FroKnowsPhoto.com. And those were Mike and Ike's. I haven't eaten them. I haven't had them in a long while. So here we are with the raw file edit of the week number 41. And what we did differently this week is you got your chance to edit the file first and also put up an edit video if you had the capability to do so and post it in the forum. I think it works pretty well that you guys get to do the edits first before Adam and I get to do them, so that we're not basically giving you, telling you what direction to go, that we want to see what direction you would go if you were to edit this file without knowing how it was edited at all. So now it's our turn to do it. I'm going to start here, and then Adam's going to do his edit. I'm not sure if I'm going to go black and white yet or color. I'll probably end up doing both just to see what I could do. But what I feel needs to be done to this photo before I even get into it is I think it needs to be warmed up. I want to see some more warmth in it, and I think that if I was to have this reshot, I would probably want the eyes looking at the camera, because I think that would have made this shot extremely, just a much better image in terms of, she's staring down the camera even though she's looking over her shoulder here. I just like eyes right at the camera. So this was taken at 1/320th of a second, f2.8, ISO 200 with a 70-200 2.8 on the Nikon D300S. I also would consider, excuse me, a vertical crop, but I don't think this aspect would work. So I'm just going to leave it for now the way it is. And I want to get this warmed up, and I want more contrast because I like contrast. So look, I'm warming it up just to give it a warmer feel. Let's see. Don't want too much magenta into it. I'm going to go with that. Let's see what happens when I pull back slightly on the exposure. I don't want to go too far because I don't want, that looks fine, but it's just, yeah, it's too much. It's actually not that bad, but I'm going to brighten just a little bit. I'm going to meet her in between. Add some black levels to thicken it up. Not contrast. See what happens when you move the clarity too far? It looks too fake. A lot of people have a tendency to go way too far with clarity, or to pull back way too far to compensate for out of focus images. In this case, this is a sharp image. I don't want to go too far back, so I'm just going to leave it right around here. +11, 9, +9. I like the feel of that color. I do. She got great lips here, nice nose ring. The eyes are nice and sharp. Everything looks good right there. And I know this is subtle and simple. I don't think it needs a post-crop vignette. Let's see what happens if I add some, what's this, vibrance? No vibrance. Getting rid of vibrance. Saturation, no. Let's see. Nope. I'm just going to leave it where it's at for this color rendition, because I think it's pretty close, and there's not much more that I would do to this. It's a nice representation in my mind, and that's how I would do the color. So I'm going to save it as a snapshot. We'll call it 1, and then I do like this. I don't want to go too far back. Nay. So this is where I'm leaving my color. That's snapshot 1. Let's go to black and white and see what I would do here. Wow, that's totally weird. It looks like there's a vignette already built into this thing. Holy boy. I'm going to reset and see if this is even worth doing in black and white. So a lot of times if I have an image that is underexposed like this, I like to pump up my black levels. Oh, what is going on here? Wow, it's that far off. Holy wow. Yeah, I didn't expect that. The eyes are just looking way, way, way weird. Right here, it's just weird. So I'm not liking the black and white at all. It just, because it looks like she wants to be looking at me, but we're missing half of her pupil. It's just weird. See, that's just weird. I'm not going black and white. I'm just going to go back to my snapshot, and I'm leaving it with this color. I think that looks, and actually the eye still looks weird here now that I look at it. But I'm just going to stick with color. Adam, you're up. Let's see what you got and why you got it this way.
Adam Lerner, and welcome to this week's Raw Edit. And this week, Jared and I did something a little bit different in that we put the raw file in the forum for you guys to edit and do so before we posted our edits. And that way we were hoping that you guys would post your edits without any influence on what Jared and I did. And then we can all compare notes and we can see what you guys did and we can see what we did as well. So here this week we have a lovely portrait of a really pretty girl, very nicely shot, Nikon D300S with a 70-200 shot at 2.8. Background completely blown out, totally butter, but a very nice exposure at that. The image is a little bit flat for my taste, and a little bit, a little bit cool. So I really feel like we need to punch this up. We need to add some sheen. We need to really get this to be a headshot beauty shot. And, because of her classic good looks, I really am like leaning toward going black and white. The image is very sparse. There's not a lot of color information, maybe other than her really pretty blue eyes. So I'm really thinking black and white, just make this really striking and strong. And I'm also thinking about a crop. So let's get right into editing right here. First thing I want to do is just warm this up just a touch. And exposure, I'm just going to add just a hair of exposure and a little bit of fill light, just like that. And blacks, I'm going to mask off looking for my overexposed regions, and I'm just going to bring it up to there. It kind of, underexposed. It underexposed a little bit in here, but that's okay. I can live without that right now. I'm going to add some clarity and just pump up those midtones right there. And I'm also going to add some contrast. And already, we've got a lot more intensity with this shot. Look at the before, look at the after. Boom, right there in your face. Adding all those blacks and contrast has also made it a little bit too warm. So I'm just going to back off my color temperature a little bit like there. And you know what? I'm going to keep that because we still have the nice red in her lips and in her cheeks right there. Okay, contrast, I'm going to go strong contrast. Okay, I really like the way that looks, particularly in this shot. Sometimes, when you're photographing women and, you want to maybe bring the contrast down a little bit. You maybe want to back off on the clarity depending on their skin, but she's got such nice skin that, it's nothing that we really want to hide here. Okay, now let's go into sharpening. Let's go and select her eye right here, and we will just bring that up a little bit like that. We'll mask it off so that we're only going to sharpen contours and not sharpen textures. We don't want to sharpen the pores in her skin, just the contours of her eyes and her eyelashes and things like that, the really nice features. Speaking of her eyes, I wouldn't mind just bringing up more intensity in those. So I'm going to hit the K for the brush tool, and I'm going to go to Iris Enhance. You look in the Iris Enhance, it's got all these default settings here. So I'm going to zoom in with the Z key. I'm going to use the navigator to get right in on her eyes here. And let's paint this in here, okay? So we're just going to go, boom, we're just going to paint that around in her eye. And I'm just going to kind of go around like that. And let's see, we can use the O key to see the overlay. So I'm going to continue to paint around in there. And, because I'm just trying to make sure that I'm only painting in the eye area here. Okay. And let's go to the other eye here. And we're just going to paint in there. Same kind of thing. We're just going to try to bring out a little bit more of the natural beauty in her eyes right here. Okay. Just something like that. All right. I'm going to hit the O key again. And, okay, that is super, super bright. If we zoom out of here, let's see, let me hang on for a second. There we go. That might be a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring the exposure down just to about there. Okay. And I'm going to keep it like that. I like that. Okay. Hit the K key again and I'm out of the brush tool, hit the Z key again, and I'm zoomed back in. Now, we did speak about a crop. So let's hit the R key, and I am really sensing a one-to-one crop here. I feel like the whole right side of this frame, there's really nothing there. Now, if this was going to be like a profile picture that you would overlay text, or maybe on a website where you wanted to overlay text, or maybe in a magazine where you wanted to put information, that negative space there would be perfect for that. But in this context, I feel like that is kind of an imbalance to her, and I want the focus to be more on her face here. So we're going to go one-to-one, and I'm just going to tuck that all the way to the wall like that. And we're going to hit the R key again to get out of the cropping module. And to me, that has much more impact and intensity. Okay, so that is going to be my color edit, and I'm going to hit Command N and the number 1 for that snapshot. Now, I did talk about black and white, and that's where I want to go with this. So I'm going to keep all the settings that I have here, but I'm going to go into the black and white module by hitting the V key. And already, I just really love how that looks. I want to add a little bit more in contrast here, just pump that up, and maybe just a little bit in the way of fill, just something like that. Clarity, let's see. Yeah, I think clarity, I'm just going to keep where that was, about right there. Just going to add a little bit of highlights for some sheen, just something like about there. And you know, I think my blacks are pretty good. You know, maybe just a touch more on the blacks. And you know what? I honestly think at this particular point that could really be my black and white edit. I mean, I could really go to town with this, but in the interest of time, I'm going to leave that as my black and white edit. Command N, I'm going to hit the number 2, create, and there we go. We have our color edit right here. Nice and warm, really pretty. And then we have our black and white edit right here. And we've got, you know, just really nice beauty shot, headshot, really nice eyes, great look about her. So that's it for now. Let's go off and see what Jared's got.
And we are back. All right.
All right.
All right. Adam, how you doing, buddy?
Right. I'm all right.
He's all right. So, what'd you think a little different this week, having people do their edits before us and seeing how some people will do their videos to get a little feel? You know, it's funny. Some people are throwing up the comments like it's much harder to edit and talk at the same time. Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to keep it real, you know, to keep it fun and exciting while you're actually editing. So it's an acquired thing that takes some time.
If it was easy, there would be like 1,000 cooking shows on TV.
Yeah. Speaking of, I have a new cooking show coming out next week.
Oh, really?
No, not yet.
What are you going to be cooking up for us?
I'm not telling anybody yet. You know what it is, but I'm not telling anybody. It's not exactly a cooking show, but at some point I'll let people in on what it is.
Okay.
All right, so get into your edit. I mean, I know we're going to discuss the cropping, and I did look for a crop, but ideally I would have liked to have done a vertical crop, but just the aspect didn't work the way that it was shot.
Right. I mean, the way it was shot, it's very tightly cropped out of the camera. You know, I mean, you know, you can see that the very top of her head is cut off, the bottom of her hair is cut off. You know, in a case like this, it would have been nice maybe to have had a little bit more to work with. And you and I even discussed briefly how if this was shot vertical and she was looking dead on, that would have just been killer.
Yeah, if her eyes were at the camera, it would have been like, boom, her eyes would have popped so much. Because in this case, it really looks like, to me, that left eye, which is on the right of the frame, looks like the eye is there, but it's like cut off. It's like not perfectly round. There's like a moon cut off out on the side of it, which kind of makes it look a little awkward to me.
You know, I mean, I think that I find, and I'm sure you find this too, is that sometimes when you're working with a model and you say, okay, you know, take your eyes and move to the right, that oftentimes people like just shoot their eyes as far right as they can. And it's so much about subtlety, and there's nothing wrong with saying to your model, like, okay, that's fine, but let's split the difference, or bring your eyes more over here, or look over my shoulder. And I think in this case, like, she could have maybe used a little bit more direction because it's way too extreme.
Sure. Well, let's also bring it back to what it is. Let's get into the editing of it, and more so than the critiquing of it. But
sorry,
no, that's both of us. But I'm bringing it back to the editing. I look at your edits, and to me, I don't know if it's because of the crop.
Right.
No, I think it's the sharpening. Did you add a lot of sharpening?
I added sharpening for sure.
Yeah, and I think
and clarity.
And clarity. Yeah, I talked about that too. To me, it looks a little over the top with the clarity. It boomifies more than I normally do with my photos.
On both ones, both the color and the black and white?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like, yeah, there's no, again, right or wrong on it. I just,
Sure.
mine looks a little on the smoother side, and I talked about this in my video that I wanted to not go too high with the clarity because of what could happen.
Yeah. I like your color edit a lot, but my problem with this image, and the reason why I went black and white, and the reason why if I were to just release this image, I would only choose the black and white, is because I felt that it was flat. The colors were flat, the tones were flat, and aside from like her really pretty blue eyes, there wasn't really a lot of dynamic color information going on.
Right. It was, and you know what I tried to do to get rid of some of the flatness was add some yellow.
Yep.
And I think you did the same thing. Our edits are kind of similar.
Right.
They're pretty close.
Yeah,
what's funny?
Go ahead.
I was going to say that, I got to the point where you think about putting a vignette. It sort of has its own natural white vignette, the opposite.
That's the thing. It's
in the
got
bottom
an
corner.
opposite reverse vignette, which actually in this case works really, really well.
But it's natural.
Right. And in that case, it's like, boom, just leave it. The only thing that I wasn't crazy about was all the negative space on the right of the frame, and primarily because it really isn't providing any substantive information.
Right,
like,
she's
I'm not really
leading
getting
her
anything.
eyes.
Pardon?
She's not leading her eyes out of the frame. In this case, the vertical, and that's why you cropped it. And I wanted to try to crop it, but the vertical would have cut, it didn't work with where her eyes were. If she was looking at the camera, then yeah, I could have cropped it vertically and made it work.
And, to be perfectly honest, like, in doing a portrait or headshot, I would not necessarily gravitate toward a square crop, but I really just wanted to lose that negative space on the right side of the frame. And again, like you said, the vertical crop would have just cut way too much off.
Sure. So we'll wrap it up here because we are talking a lot about the. Well, I guess it all works into editing. It's not just critiquing, but it does work into the edit.
Well, cropping is, I think, a huge part of editing.
Well, for those who crop.
When you must.
When you must. But yeah, and so that you guys have already edited. If you haven't edited this file, you can go ahead and click the link in the video or below, and you can go ahead and download the file and put up your raw edit. We tried it a little different this week. We let you guys edit first before we put up our edit, just so that we could see, actually so that you guys didn't get to see what we did first, and just basically do it on your own to see where you come out, and then basically we're now putting ours next to yours to see how everybody did. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And if you'd like to send in a raw file, you can send it to froknowsphoto@gmail.com. Be sure to send in the full res JPEG so we can include yours in on the edit. And Adam, I saw some videos that people were putting up. If we get a really, really cool video that somebody makes, we're going to probably invite them in to do a nice Skype three-way phone call and get their edit in on it and add, see what they could do.
Awesome. Sounds great.
And I need to really blow my nose because the cold is, yeah. That's about it.
Cold. All right.
That's about it. You got anything else?
Nope. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Fro folks are putting up on the forum.
Yep, go take a look. There's already a whole bunch. That's about it. Thank you, guys. Great job getting those photos up there before we even did our edit. Saw some really interesting ones so far. Jared Poland, Fro knows photo.com. See ya.